My name is Rajiv Chopra, and before I continue, I'd like to make a small confession. I'm not used to looking into a webcam, so I'm trying to look straight into the webcam in front of me. But if you think I'm not making eye contact, forgive me. I want to make a short video to explain what my channel is about. I call it tramping. And I call it tramping and not tramping in India, even though I have a blog called Tramping in India. Because I will be posting videos, some old, some old trips, about some old trips, which I have made to other countries. So that's why I have broadened the scope of this particular channel to tramping. Why tramping? Well, to be honest, Mark Twain inspired me. He wrote a book, A Tramp in Europe, and I thought, fantastic. And I've spent years traveling business class, staying in 5-star hotels. It's been fantastic. But when I started photography, I started on the streets. I started with an Olympus OM2N film camera, doing black and white film photography. And hey, I hope no one minds if I stop to drink some water from time to time. Let me move on. So who am I? You might want to know who I am. I am an engineer by education. I did my metallurgical engineering from the Indian Institute of Technology in Kharagpur. I specialized in corrosion, and I originally wanted to do my PhD. For various reasons that didn't happen, and I started working in a steel mill. And that was fun. I was on the shop floor and sometimes shoving in ferroalloys into an electric arc furnace, and that's when you understand heat. After about a year and a half, the company management decided to move me into sales. And then I realized that I couldn't go back to engineering, so I did my MBA from the Indian Institute of Management in Bangalore. Between my engineering and my MBA, that's when I started photography. I continued doing street photography and travel photography using only black and white film. I was a late mover. I did not want to move to digital, but in the end, I had to do just that. Unfortunately. So I first experimented with a very cheap, I think 1 or 2 megapixel camera. Decided it wasn't too bad. Then I bought a Nikon D70 and I love the camera. It's a fantastic camera. About a year later, I upgraded to the Nikon D200. And then a year later, Nikon decided to launch the Nikon D300. At which point I said, this is it. You can't just keep buying cameras every single year. So for years, I stayed with my Nikon D200 and did not move. I started doing Photoshop, and in the beginning, I'm going to drink some water. And in the beginning, my editing was destructive. I was terrified of Photoshop. I was absolutely terrified of Photoshop. And it seemed like an absolute mystery to me. And looking back, I wonder why it was a mystery, because the principles of Photoshop are simple. I will talk about that later, but if you have used acetates in the past, then you will understand how layers and how non-destructive editing works. But that's another story. Well, I've lived in most of my life in India. I am Indian. I live now in Delhi NCR. I've lived in England, a few months in Switzerland, 6 years in China, 2 years in Singapore. I have lived and traveled all over India. Currently, I use a Fujifilm X100V. I use a Fujifilm X-T4, and I love these cameras. They are fantastic. The quality of images is absolutely superb, and they are light, and they suit the kind of photography that I do, which is primarily street and travel photography. I do landscape photography from time to time, and that is when I'm doing my travel photography. So, what drives me? What drives me is the photography, the writing, the history, the sociology. And I detested history and sociology and culture in school. But that's how life works. Your, your direction changes all the time. Just be prepared for that, be flexible. And as someone said, hold your beliefs slightly. Now, in summary, what is my approach to this channel? So, my approach to this channel, or what I will deliver in this channel, is very simple. My approach to photography, my journeys, my walks in Delhi, my tips on planning and other, related topics, my understanding of all of this from a historical and cultural aspect, some food and hopefully some fun. And you see here two logos. In the beginning, I thought I would make this channel only about photography, and that is my photography logo. So I thought I'd make this only about photography with tips and tricks and editing magic. But, and there's a huge but. The huge but is that there are far too many people out there who know far more about editing than I ever will. So I decided that this wasn't it. If these people are going to give you the tricks that I could never do, I would actually be doing you a favor if I send you the links to their sites and you can learn some of their more esoteric tricks. But I will talk about what I do. So what then? What then? If it's not about photography only, what then? So my next thought was to make this only about tramping and travels. And that was it. Why tramping? Mark Twain inspired me with his book, A Tramp in Europe. And it's fantastic. I mentioned a few moments ago I spent my life traveling business class, staying in 5-star hotels, enjoying all of that. But what happens is when you are flying business class, when you are staying in 5-star hotels, your world becomes restricted. It's small. And you're always worrying about how you present yourself. You mind your P's, your Q's, your S's, your T's. You make sure that your knives and forks don't make any noise on the plate. And always trying to project yourself as someone you're not. When you are traveling, if you really want to enjoy traveling and street photography and travel photography, you have to be out there where the action is. Yes, 5-star hotels, luxury hotels are a part of it, but they are not all of it. My advantage, I think, is that I can move from luxury to the streets, from the streets to luxury. But will the channel only be about tramping and travels? I thought this was also going to be restrictive. And then I thought to myself, why not make the channel about tramping and photography? Make it about both. This way I can combine both aspects of who I am and create a channel that is hopefully composite and gives everyone a more holistic picture of what I do, what I can offer, and hopefully add some value. The two can exist. So it's largely about traveling in India, at this point traveling in North India, because no one is yet paying me to travel to other parts of India, but I do want to focus on Northeast India. Why will I travel in India in the future? It's my country, and I believe we have much to offer the world. Our culture is diverse, our landscapes are diverse. Why aren't we doing enough to talk about our country, the beauty of our country, the beauty of our culture, and our unity in diversity? So traveling in India, yes. Street travel and landscape photography, yes, but mostly street and travel photography. Keep in mind, my brain works best in black and white. So while I will be posting a few photography videos with some tips and tricks, it will be mostly my approach to photography, my approach to editing. And that's how it will be. My approach to editing is simple. I don't like anything that's too complex. I will talk about history and culture as I understand them. So if you disagree, we can have a debate, we can have a discussion. It's always good to have a discussion. Oh, yeah, food also, and some fun along the way. I like to end with this quote, and I love this quote from Tolkien. Not all those that wander are lost. This is from The Lord of the Rings, and if I remember well, this is what Gandalf said to the hobbits. Not all those that wander are lost. Enjoy the journey, enjoy the travel. A part of the destination is the journey itself. So thank you very much, and hit the subscribe button. This is who I am.